He is bullying this race. Paceline, they've got someone up the road. 4 rounds got someone up the road. A train just comes through and I just want to get on board. Hi guys, welcome to Abingdon. This is the Richard Kell Memorial Series and it's the 4th round. And I've done the first 3 of these and this is the last one, and it's one of the toughest, I think. I think if anyone has raced at Abingdon, they know it's always hard here. It's I think it's one of the hardest crits you can get down in the UK, to be honest. It's because it's just so exposed. There's just so much wind here every time, and it always seems to be pure kind of crosswind, crosshead, crosstail. You don't seem to just be able to sit in the group comfortably for most of this circuit. It's always so exposed. It's almost every man for himself. So yeah, today was a pretty brutal encounter, I have to say. I'm just a humble Cat 2 and we're getting bullied here by elite riders and Cat 1s. So my goal for this race was really just to try and I'd love to make a break. That's what I'd love to do at one of these. I've got around the first 3 of this series by just surviving in the bunch and then trying to do a last-minute sprint to get up some minor places and get into the points. And that's worked for me. I've retained the Cat 2, but this time I really want to just make a break. So I've jumped forward now onto the back straight, and things are starting to get a bit spicy. The speed's jumped up 32 miles an hour. It's got a bit strung out, and I've sat in on this bit and I've saved a bit of energy, and I see it all eases up here. So I'm thinking, well, yes, let's jump forward, and I get forward right to the front. Actually, I move, all the way through the bunch, and that was a nice move. Save some energy there. Wouldn't have to fight for the position later. So we come around this bend. This is usually the bend that you do have to coast round if you're coming in pretty hot. Not too bad this time round, so we pedal round. And I find myself kind of in the middle of a split, and I'm thinking, I don't want to close that. I'm out of my league here. I shouldn't be closing gaps. So I peel off, and a train just comes through. Look at this. You can hear the steam train coming through, and I just want to get on board. It's 700 watts, over 30 mile an hour. Finally, I see a gap. I get on board. Now, if I had peeled off to the right there and not to the left, the train could have come through on my left side and I would have been getting shelter as they came through, because you see the wind in the arrows on the bottom right corner. The wind is slapping us from the left here, so we're all doing what for what in this train almost. You see the fight to get on as they pass through this rider here. Yeah, and it's just brutal on this cross headwind stretch of the course. So it starts to ease up, and gaps are formed already. There's huge gaps, and here we go. Here's my hero moment. Second lap in, and I decide I want to get to this break, and so I just bury it. I keep the power really high. The speed is so high as well, and I haven't taken anyone with me, so that's good. But I am really punching above my pay grade here. I shouldn't be going this deep so early, and but I get there quick as well, and I think that's brilliant. But then I see another split, and I just ease up. I didn't have the confidence to surge across. But thinking about it now, I think I should have, because I had a lot of speed at that point, and I think maybe if I kept my head down I could have made it, but I bottle it, and I think, well, I'm out of my comfort zone here. I don't want to close it, and then I just get caught on the front, you see, and riders just begin to just blow by, and I'm thinking, I've just done a big effort. I want to get on smoothly. I want to kind of get on without doing a massive 1,000-watt spike, But guys just ping off in ones, and it's hard to get on smoothly. So I'm waiting for the group to kick, but you see, it's just ones and twos. Eventually the groups start to move, and I do kind of filter in, but I flick right off to the left to make them come through there. So yeah, I did that to myself, really. I kind of did a big effort, didn't commit as much as I should have to closing those two, because that's the last time I'll actually see those two. That's the front of the race gone, unfortunately. So here we go, I surge on, and now I'm back in the group. But it's hard, like along here it's crosshead, the group moves to the left, the wind's coming from the right, we're trying to get on the left hand side and shelter, but then you're coming by riders who are coming back, and you've got to swing out to the right. And yeah, it's tough stuff in this crosswind. It's when they're jamming it, you're doing so much power just to, you know, keep the speed. There's some draft, but it's all so exposed here. And there's another gap forming, and you know, this is the second lap, and there's like 10-12 riders, you know, 20 meters up the road, and so I commit to closing it. I think, well, I've got to close it. I can't just let that go. So I get to the front and I pull, but I don't snap close it. Partly I think because we're coming into this bend, so I don't particularly want to, you know, fly through this bend and bottle it. So I kind of smoothly close it. But there's still a reasonable gap, and they are still pinging it on the front. So I'm trying to close it, but I don't want to bury myself to do it. But thankfully, this rider behind me, thank you, sir, he comes through, and I managed to get on his wheel with a bit of effort. These elite riders, you know, they know what they're doing. They know how to ride the crosswinds. They just bully you. Now, I've just jumped forward again because we did all kind of slightly ease up as a group and kept the front riders at about 10-15 seconds, I think. But as we come around again to this home straight, things get a bit spicy again. But the problem here, the speed is lower. We're only doing 28, we're doing 32 last time. And here is what happens. Attacks fly, and the pace they can buy you. So thankfully, Matt from High Wycombe and his calves, they close it, they spike up the power, I spike up the power, and we get up to them quite nicely here. We don't draw out the time it takes to get on the wheel. So that was good, and I think that's the way to play it rather than trying to save your matches. When it's this exposed and this hard, you've got to just dig in and spike the power to get on. And yeah, we start to roll through. I roll through, but look, there's just people aren't willing to come through to the front, and I get caught here on the front. There's a break up the road. I'd like us to kind of chase it, but I want some help. I want it to be a team effort, but people in the group just wanted to whittle down the group further, I think. We were getting bullied by the stronger riders who kind of knew how to play it, I think, better than we did. And there was teams. So look, I'm still on the front, and I'm not pedaling that hard. The speed's dropping, but people are happy to let the gap go because we've got Paceline, they've got someone up the road, Forehand's got someone up the road, No Pins have also got someone up the road, and they're all here in this group and happy to let the gap go, and they'll just follow any surging attacks themselves. So yeah, we've got getting a bit bullied here. I'm trying to go as slow as I can to make people come round. Eventually, I actually just flick off because there's no point me just accelerating from the front. If I want to attack, I should come from the back. But honestly, I haven't got the courage to do that. These races are so hard. I'm really just trying to hang with the group I'm in and not get dropped. Here we go, we cut forward again to the back straight, and it's the same thing. I roll through, and then there's just gaps behind. So I don't know, I shouldn't be rolling through. I should be attacking through, making others attack, and then hopefully forming up a group. Right now, I'm just getting caught out on the front, you know. We're passing riders from the Cat 4 race. You know, we're doing good speed, but for us to catch the break, we'd need to continue the speed on every part of the course. We wouldn't. We would get to this corner, it would go to more of a pure headwind, and we'd ease up, or someone would attack and just break everyone's legs. So again, I really do swing off, and finally people do come through. But look, back to the back camera here. Here we go. The same guy, number 7. He is bullying this race. I'm going to call him 700 watts because Mr. 7 is always doing 700 watts when he comes through, and look at us, we are spiking it up to get on that wheel. And he's just breaking us. He would just do like a 30-second, 40-second effort, and then it eases up again, and everyone just gets broken by this. So there's no pace about the group as a whole. It's just fast, slow, fast, slow. And again, jump forward to the end of the back straight. He's spiking it up. We're all just surging to follow. And it was brutal, but I don't know, without any teammates, there's not a lot I can do apart from just try and hang in here. So I'm just trying to ride it as smoothly as I can, but there's no running smoothly when you're going into this cross tail. Like, look at the speed and look at the power. It's just, and Dynamo's just let a little gap, and there's a guy in front of him, I think, that just starts to blow. It's just so easy for it to split to pieces in this crosswind. See the guy in front, he flicks out. That leaves a gap for the Dynamo rider, and that's another gap we've got to close. And yeah, thankfully they kind of stop their effort at the front, I think, here, and we get back. But we're just being brutalised by the riders that are attacking, to be honest. And look, here we go again. Number 7 with 17 on his wheel again. I think these two had a little pact, you know. I think they were secretly working for each other, even though they weren't on the same team. And it's just brutal. I see forehand goes and I try and follow, but I'm letting the gap go. But I've got no more to give. Like, it was just brutal. Into the cross head here. And look at them lined out behind me. Start to close it and get back to the wheel, and then they ease up. Then we come down to the other side, and it all goes again. So it's just, I've cut out the bits where we're kind of noodling at 200 watts, really, all trying to recover and get our breath back, and then hit it again. And look at the gap. I just got to close it. At least number 7's in front of me this time. So if he does one of his attacks, I'm there to follow. But it's I don't know. I'm not in a position to do anything else but follow here. It's tough. I think I'd really benefit from a teammate in these races, someone to, you know, either lead me out for an attack or help pace at the front to bring back the break. But at this point, I think there is about 8 riders who made the first split, and this group is about to get split down even more. I think we are still the main peloton at this point, but it's just getting blown to pieces. I mean, look at this sprinting to close gaps. I mean, my legs hurt looking at the power I'm doing now. It's just, yeah. And again, we ease up. And jump forward another lap. Number 7, here he is. He can sense everyone's weakness. And he just spins up in the saddle. 17 gets straight on it. But thankfully, Paceline spikes it up and I can follow. And I survive another boxing round here. It's just, round after round, we're getting pummeled by these guys. And, he waves people through. He waves people through after just surging at the front, doing like 1 minute intervals on everyone. I mean, why should we come through nicely if you're just going to then counter us again on the next lap? And that's the problem. And this is where Matt from High Wycombe makes a pretty good move. He just suffers he just embraces the pain and just floats off the front, keeping his head down and kind of keeping the speed relatively high. I mean, we're dropping it down now because we're all gassed. So, I mean, that must have hurt from him, but it's a good move because he doesn't lose any speed. We lose so much speed, and then he gets the gap on us. And that means that when this splits again, which I think it does here, that's all it takes. Everyone gets a little bit dishevelled by that flick of the wheels there, and these two who've been attacking this whole time slip away. I wonder if we hadn't have had that little moment, whether they might have got the gap. Dynamo's flicking the arm, and I'm gassed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I haven't come through here. But they've succeeded in breaking me. Finally, I come through, and I think, well, let's try and snap close. Let's do what I haven't been doing, which is riding smoothly at the front. Let's spike it up and try and close them with a big effort. And you see those two have just joined up with Matt, who slipped away. So that was a good move for him. And I can't snap close it. I'm a broken man. We're 40 minutes in now, and we've been riding, doing these 1 minute intervals every lap or two, like for 40 minutes now. So I'm gassed and I'm flicking the arm. Forehand behind me. He's not coming through. He's got a guy further up the road, and he's not interested in helping. I think he'd like to follow someone who sprints over the top, but he's not going to help me, that's for sure. And look, another guy, he pings off. Another guy quickly gets onto the wheel, and that's it for this group. Everyone now is up the road, and we can't catch them. And unfortunately now what is left of this group is we're out of the points. I think there's now about 15, 16 people up the road, and we can't organise a chase. So that's that, unfortunately. Now I've jumped through to the end. We're an hour and 5 minutes in. Yeah, this crit's over an hour. It's a Nat B Crit, so it's got to be over an hour in length. And we're all broken at this point. We're the remnants of the race, and we've just been bullied by the elite riders. So we're all happy just to cruise around the last few laps and do just a big sprint to get back some honour, I think. So I plant myself third wheel. I take this corner sharp, don't want anyone coming up the inside of me, and I feel like I had a bit more speed around that corner. So I mean, I probably should have sat in, but I don't. I just decide to whack it. So it's not exactly smart sprinting tactics, but surprisingly, after being battered, I had some pretty good sprint legs after sitting in for 3 laps. So I seemed to get a bit of energy back. But yeah, this guy comes by me after kind of getting probably a nice draft from me, and I managed to hold off this trash mile with a bike throw to the line. But yeah, that was a brutal race. Abingdon is just famous for brutality. You never get an easy ride here unless it's like a clear, wind-free summer's day, but that is so rare when you're racing in autumn. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from the mistakes I made. I definitely did. It's the first race I've actually ever filmed, so I hope my commentary was somewhat cohesive. Yeah, and hopefully catch you another race sometime in the future. Cheers.